We have the Minister of Natural Resources, the MLA for Cumberland South, Tory Rushton. Welcome, Mr. Minister. We had a bit of a news release come out this week, and this must be very dear to your heart, and we've talked about it a number of times before. But the province is moving forward in a big way with upgrades to rural cell service. I've talked before about that being a federal or a national responsibility, and one for the CRTC that they're not doing their job, but we won't go there. You decided you're not going to wait, you want to fix it. It sounds like a massive program, and they claim those weakest areas of service will get built up first. That must include Cumberland South.
Yeah, part of it does include Cumberland South. Part of it, all of Cumberland for that matter, Bill. But it's a two-phased approach for this first initial part, Bill. I think we talked about this. Late last summer, early last fall. But the phase one approach is where equipment is already existing. They're going to upgrade signals. I guess is the easiest way to put it in layman terms that I guess I wouldn't mess up and understand. Then phase two is what's currently out in the field as well. For example, Moose River, Advocate area, River Hibbert, and in the Tignish area, where there was the design and build of new towers and installation of new equipment. So it's a multi-phase approach for this first round of cell coverage, and certainly appreciate you making the comment that this really isn't in the spectrum of the provincial government. But quite frankly, Premier Houston sort of had enough with some of the big giants not servicing their equipment and not providing the service to the residents of Nova Scotians. Sort of said enough's enough. If nobody's going to invest in it, we're going to invest in it for the betterment of our economy, our safety, and quite frankly, the communications of our residents.
No question. And I mean, I can get on my hobby horse on that one, but I don't think I should. But what's interesting, you say you're going to invest. In fact, you're going to own the towers. You're going to own that portion of network that you build out. And I'm curious, what does that mean? Do you then let anybody that want to use the tower use it? Or is this a way you can perhaps scratch back some money from those guys who have refused to do the job that they're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, no, there will be a utilization fee and for the towers, and certainly we put it out for bid last year, and we had a successful bidder, and the work is getting imposed right now. There's ground investigations going with best solutions and negotiations for land right now by the equipment operators all over Nova Scotia. So it's not really a money maker for the province, but there will be some reimbursement for utilization of the tower space.
And over time, I hope that you might even recoup your money. Is that possible or no?
I think it is possible, but I mean the initial conversation about the need for the investment was, as I said a while ago, the safety for our residents, communications needs for our residents, and quite frankly, a lot of people, that's where they get their internet signal now is from cell signals. So on their smartphones. So it's a must in today's day and age. And I mean when we see people coming to rural Nova Scotia, especially in Cumberland County, where they were able to acquire homes, bring their family back home, and in some cases work from home, but they need that reliable internet signal and cell signal to be able to operate their business. And you use River Hibbert for an example. There's schools on River Hibbert, and we know many times over the last year there's been a cable cut, telephone cable cut in River Hibbert area. And that leaves them without any communication. So River Hibbert's one of the areas that will be covered with a new tower in the coming time as well.
Now, I mentioned I didn't want to get on my hobby horse, but there might be somebody out there listening today for the first time or didn't hear me the other days. But I mentioned it's a federal responsibility. In fact, it's covered by the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, otherwise known as the CRTC. And they're the guys who give licenses for, say, a cable TV operation or radio and television stations and cell phone companies. And over the years, we've witnessed cell phone companies come to them and say, oh, we've got the latest and the greatest. It's called Generation 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then we're at 5 right now, G5 they call it. We want to put these into Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver, and we'll eventually get around to the rural areas. And the CRTC said, in Ottawa, one of the cities, they say, oh, great, go ahead and do it. And they never get around to the rural areas. And as I said, we've gone through generations 1 through 5, and we still have rural areas with nothing. And I contend that if the CRTC had the courage and did its job, that every one of those steps along the way, but certainly the next one, when they come along with Generation 6, they should say, fine, you can have a license for Generation 6, but you start with the underserviced areas, not the big cities. And I contend that's all that has to be done. But the federal government has just avoided taking any courageous action.
I've talked about this. It's sort of beating a dead horse sort of thing, Bill. But you and I are in quite in agreement that there's rules for the CRTC that should be applied. And look, quite frankly, the federal government should have stepped up long ago.
Exactly. My point exactly.
It's just. It's left us now to make sure our residents have the service that they need. And like I said, Premier Houston sort of last summer, enough was enough, and let's move forward on this. We're not going to wait any longer for the investment to come from a higher up. Let's take the bull by the horn, so to speak.
Yep, good for you. On another one, too, another release came out. Apparently, your government wants to explore options and so on where we sell and how we consume alcohol in Nova Scotia. And you're going to have opportunities for people to provide you some feedback on that. It's interesting that we currently have 300 retail locations in Nova Scotia where people can buy their booze. And that would include, of course, the corporate and agency stores of the Nova Scotia Liquor Commission, and also private wine and specialty stores, on-site stores at the places where they brew the beer and make the wine, and farmers markets. So what are you looking for now? Shoe stores? I just don't get it. Please tell me.
Yeah, no, this has been an ongoing conversation for a long time. Even before I was in politics, I can remember this conversation taking place, and some of our predecessors in Cumberland South having conversations about this. But this is the first time it's been put out to public. But it's corner stores really that we're looking at, and what really stemmed this conversation, I think for the Premier and the Minister to start this conversation and go to the public and seek the feelings is the barriers that we're opening up, the free trade that we're opening up between provinces, and hearing from the local spirit producers in Nova Scotia that the opportunities for other provinces to be in their local corner stores are advantageous to them. So if we're opening up the borders to free trade, then we have to be on par with other provinces. So the Minister and the Premier have initiated that conversation. Was it last week or this week? I think it was late last week that the release came out that it's time for some consultation, have a conversation to see what is expected out in the field.
Also, in that sent out, not just where should we sell the product, but you're also asking where can adults actually drink alcohol. Are you opening up your thoughts on that? It used to be it was in your private home. Then it would be at your cottage and so on, and you could transport to and from. Of course, obviously, you can go to licensed establishments to drink booze. But where else would you see it? Obviously, you're not going to let them drink while they're driving their car. You're going to let them sit in the park? Is that the only place left? Open air sites or something?
No, I don't really know what's left on there, to be very honest, Bill. I know there's different rules in different provinces of certain parks. I know related to my duties as Minister of Natural Resources, we have provincial parks and camping, and we have an alcohol and marijuana free areas into July, so families can come and experience that. I don't think we're looking to change anything with that. We're out in the public settings, but just briefly talking with the minister last week, I had the conversation about what are the locations, what are we trying to achieve here, what are the trade barriers. I didn't really get enough time with him to speak about what are the other areas that they're looking at, or to get consultation and conversation from the public. So that's something that I have to carry on a further conversation with the minister.
Now, I'm glad you said that you wanted to get further clarification of what are we trying to accomplish here, because that's exactly what went through my mind, and I thought I would ask you. You've helped me a little bit, and we're going to be talking to the Premier, so I'll ask him those same questions perhaps and see what other he can add to that. But we'll talk to the Premier on Friday morning, right off the top of the program at 10:03. I teased you last week about you going to get your graduation certificate at the community college, and of course you had graduated from there years ago, but you were headed there for the graduation ceremony. How'd it go?
It went fantastic. Usually at graduation ceremonies at the Cumberland campus at NSCC, it's usually a rainy day ever since I've been taking part in that. But it was a beautiful sunny day on Monday, so thank you for the weather, Bill, in Spring Hill at the Cumberland campus. But it was great. I think 171 graduates, I believe the president and the principal announced. But I had an opportunity to briefly speak and bring congratulations to the class of 2025 on behalf of the province. I don't know if you know this or not, Bill, but the NSCC always kicks off their convocation celebrations right here in Cumberland County. So as I said to the students, they were setting the precedence again this year by being the first graduating class of NSCC and setting the standard for the rest of the province. And I said to the president, I always expect him to kick it off right, and always started here in Cumberland, at the Cumberland campus. But it was just it was a nice celebration and just a word of a message that as this path in the students' lives completed, they're going to charter other paths. But goers, remember, there's always a path back home, always a path back to friendship to support people through their journeys. So it was fantastic, and it was always an honor to present the Governor General, Lieutenant Governor's Award, and also the NSCC Alumni Award. Since I've been a stage guest representing the province, the local NSCC has always asked me to present the Alumni Award as well, and that's quite an honor for myself, being a graduate of NSCC. Very proud of that. Very proud of where the NSCC and the college has come, and where it's growing to be, because I think we talked briefly during the legislature in the spring. We passed legislation to allow NSCC to grow even further and be able to adapt and be able to grant not just certificates and diplomas, but we're talking degrees at our Nova Scotia Community College in the near future. So it was fantastic to catch up with the president as well, and also to give a huge shout out to retiring principal Don McCormick. Don has been a fixture at the NSCC and Cumberland campus, but more than just a principal, Don's been an advocate for the community. He's been out in the community in Cumberland County, taking part in a lot of organizations and associations. And Don won't just be missed at the Cumberland campus of NSCC in Spring Hill. He's going to be missed throughout Cumberland County. So I just want to take a second and wish Don the very best in retirement, and I certainly hope our paths cross in the future.
I second that one as well. And thank you for the recognition of the accuracy of our weather forecast, but I personally cannot take any credit for the weather. That's not the way it works. But having said that, the summer weather that you were looking for, and is finally coming, is also called wildfire season, and we're seeing our neighboring provinces right across the country almost really, really up against it, and I know that's a concern of yours.
Yeah, no, we're faced with a group that has already taken off and gone out west to support the wildfire initiative out west. Another request has come in for some communications and incident command team structures to maybe report to it. And there's also been a request for an inventory of equipment that possibly may be able to go west and support the activities. And look, we're all too happy, as we talked about 2 years ago when we saw the devastation of the wildfires here in Nova Scotia. We received a lot of support and a lot of help through our Canadian partners and North American partners. And we belong to the Canadian Institution for Fire Control. So we're very pleased to be a member of that. We have a meeting every day around 1:00 and report in which each province is facing. Knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it. We've had a fairly quiet year so far in Nova Scotia, so we're all too pleased to be able to support our Canadian provinces in any help or assistance that's needed. So yeah, it's top of mind, and we're staying focused on what the fire season has here in Nova Scotia. But we feel very confident, very safe that we are able to transport some firefighters out to support these initiatives.
And we talked about that before, how you actually have a daily phone out to all of the regulators, I guess, right across the country, talking about the situation that it might exist in each province. And that's where you might get a request to send for help. But we saw Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and then the news broke Cape Breton had a fire. And just, my goodness, the country's being consumed. Are we just getting more and more and more every year, and this is direct result of climate change?
Well, I think what we can see in the trend is it is getting drier earlier in the spring, and it's really taken a bearing on activity in the woods and things. And you'll see our requirements for following the burn safety map every day. And look, Nova Scotians are heeding to it, and when they have a concern and utilizing the fire in Cape Breton that really could have got out of hand, but the dedicated work of the volunteer groups there and the Department of Natural Resources, they were able to encircle that fire last week. And early on Friday, when we thought we were going to have air support come in with the helicopters, it was reported because of the professionals and the quick response of the department the night before and through the morning of that last Friday. They were actually able to hold it, contain it, and have it under control in a relatively quick manner. So quick reporting and following the burn safety maps are certainly a defense mechanism that we utilize, and we are seeing results because the amount of hectares that has burned this year and the amount of fires that have been reported, I think they're highlighted even more in the media now because of what happened in Nova Scotia 2 years ago. But we are actually down on the count of fires right now.